Using Manipulatives in Mathematics, a research-based approach for all learners. What are manipulatives? Manipulatives are concrete objects that are used in a sensory way to allow students to explore an idea in an active, hands-on approach. Students manipulate the objects to increase their understanding of concepts. Students are actively engaged in discovery during the learning process while using manipulatives. Manipulatives help make abstract ideas concrete. They can be anything from pattern blocks to base 10 blocks to paper that can be folded and cut. The lessons teachers used using manipulatives benefit all students in the class, those with and without disabilities. The use of manipulatives meets students with disabilities needs many times without having to give any additional modifications. Which of these students looks more engaged while learning the concept of multiplication? This boy is using manipulatives to multiply. He has taken Unifix cubes and arranged them into 8 groups of 6 to figure out the solution to 8 times 6. This boy is writing the traditional algorithm on the chalkboard. He doesn't seem very engaged, does he? I think we can all agree that students enjoy working with hands-on materials. They get excited to learn and are more enthusiastic about participating in the lesson. This is not to say that students should never complete the standard algorithm. However, they should be using manipulatives while learning a new concept before the algorithm comes into play. You will see an example of this later in this presentation. It is important that a variety of manipulatives are used in classrooms. Children with learning disabilities can have difficulty generalizing their knowledge from one form to another. Therefore, using an assortment of different manipulatives should be used when demonstrating a concept. Here are some examples of math manipulatives that can be used in your classrooms. Attribute blocks are used to teach shapes, colors, sizes, and many other concepts. They can be used to teach children how to sort by different attributes and for creating patterns as well. Base 10 blocks are used to teach children the concept of place value. Children can use these on a place value mat to make numbers as well as add and subtract. Children learn to trade ones for tens and tens for ones in a hands-on way. Unifix cubes can again be used for teaching colors as well as patterning and sorting. They can be used for counting and teaching the concept of more than and less than. They can also help with the concept of number by helping children visualize the number as well as learn to compose and decompose numbers. Geometric shapes are used to teach the attributes of solid shapes as well as building, patterning, and sorting. Clocks are used to help children learn the concept of time. They allow children to set the time on their own clocks and experiment with how the hands move together. Coins are used for teaching the concept of money. Students are more able to grasp this sometimes difficult concept if able to touch, feel, and count real money. They are also able to identify real coins more easily if given the opportunity to use them. Counters are used to assist children in counting as well as for gameplay. Cuisenaire rods have been used to teach many mathematical concepts such as the basic 4 operations, area, fractions, and more. Geoboards are used to explore basic concepts in geometry. Students can learn perimeter, area, and the attributes of different shapes. Here's a tip for teachers about those manipulatives. If you're using these manipulatives in your classroom, some students, especially students with disabilities, will benefit from using them for homework as well. So, why do we use manipulatives to teach math? Research shows that students learn math concepts best when taught using the concrete pictorial abstract approach, sometimes called the concrete representational abstract approach. This approach to teaching allows students to develop a better understanding of a concept. You can click on the YouTube video for a short video describing this approach if you would like. In the concrete stage, a student is first introduced to an idea or skill by engaging in a hands-on approach. This is where manipulatives come into play. This is a hands-on component using manipulatives and is the basis for students' conceptual understanding. The student is using Unifix cubes to add 2 plus 3 by putting 2 orange cubes together with 3 red cubes to get a total of 5. Concrete manipulatives help students with disabilities understand the abstract language of math. They can also be used to clarify misconceptions and build connections between mathematical concepts and representations. Struggling math students have trouble with symbolic or abstract concepts and reasoning. These students may need extra assistance through hands-on manipulatives and the pictorial stage. Hands-on activities with manipulatives help students with disabilities and all struggling students to understand how numerical symbols and abstract equations work on the concrete level. This makes math concepts more accessible to all students. The pictorial or representative stage comes after a student has adequately understood the hands-on lessons and can relate them to pictures or representations of the problem. Now the student is transferring their knowledge to a picture representation of the problem. They are using a bar model to add 2 and 3 to find the answer of 5. In the abstract stage, students represent problems by using mathematical notation and symbols. Now the students are using the traditional algorithm to add 2 plus 3 to get the answer of 5. For some students, especially students with disabilities, the concrete method may be used for longer. Students may need to go back to using manipulatives to help them solve the problem. In this case, the student is using manipulatives to help solve the traditional algorithm. This is a simple example of the concrete pictorial abstract approach, but it can be, and should be for optimal student understanding, used with most, if not all, mathematical concepts. Research has focused on the use of manipulatives as tools for teaching students with learning disabilities. There have also been numerous research studies of the concrete pictorial abstract approach to teaching math to students with learning disabilities. This approach is often successfully used as an intervention for students with disabilities. However, students are now showing that manipulatives and the concrete pictorial abstract approach are effective tools for teaching many concepts to all students. Therefore, using manipulatives has numerous benefits for all students in our classrooms. They are useful when testing out newly developing mathematical ideas or being introduced to a new topic. They allow students to visualize and apply problem-solving strategies to real-world problems. Manipulatives engage children's memory systems, allowing for better retention, and also engage children and make them excited to learn and participate in their learning. And manipulatives also help students form internal representations. Simply using manipulatives in a math lesson does not guarantee its success. Teachers need to be properly trained in using manipulatives during math lessons with students, otherwise they will not be effective learning tools. Teachers may give the students answers before allowing them to figure out the concept using manipulatives, or give students a too-scripted step-by-step procedure. Students learn more when they are self-directed than if the teacher directs each step. On the other hand, too little guidance can also create lesson failure. Training of teachers should include helping teachers deepen their understanding of representation, mapping out student thinking and how it is connected to goals developed by pedagogical strategies, helping teachers to reflect on the success of their lesson and use of manipulatives by assessing student learning and understanding, making decisions in manipulative use, how, when, and which ones to use. If teachers are trained appropriately in these areas, use of manipulatives will be more successful as a teaching tool and for student learning and understanding. One of the most difficult parts of manipulative use is the organization of materials. If teachers do not have access to materials easily, they will be less likely to use them. Some teachers have manipulative kits for each student, some organize each manipulative into its own containers, and some schools have teachers share manipulatives by grade level. You have to find a system that works for you so you can access the materials and teach your students to have access to those materials as well. Like with any other routine in your classroom, it is important to set up expectations and rules for using manipulatives. You can click on this YouTube video for some tips of establishing guidelines in your classroom for manipulative use if you'd like. Virtual manipulatives are web or technology-based manipulatives that are modeled after concrete manipulatives. Like with concrete manipulatives, all students benefit from using virtual manipulatives. Virtual manipulatives should not be used in place of concrete manipulatives, but rather as another tool. Manipulatives are not just for math. Elkonin boxes are used to teach phonemic awareness by having students listen for sounds and words. There is one box for each sound or phoneme. Magnetic letters are used to manipulate letters, sounds, and words. They can help teach phonemic awareness, phonics skills, rhyming, and spelling. There are endless amounts of manipulatives available in all aspects of the curriculum. The use of manipulatives, when done correctly, allows for the deeper mathematical knowledge and thinking for all students. Students with disabilities especially benefit from this hands-on approach to math without the use of additional modifications.